Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through stacks of sources and research to pull out the key insights, basically giving you that shortcut to being well-informed. Today we're doing something a bit different, diving into a really ancient text, the King James Bible. We want to see if it holds, surprisingly relevant ideas for modern life. Our mission is to unpack Psalm chapter 20. It's fascinating how a prayer from maybe millennia ago could offer practical takeaways for you today about strength, about success.
Yeah, it's a great pick. Because Psalm 20, at its core, it's this powerful prayer for victory, for divine help. It's often linked to King David, before heading into battle. But what's really striking, I think, isn't just who it was for, but who was doing the praying. It really has this communal voice. It's the people, maybe a choir even, praying for their king, asking God, bless him, defend him, give him success when things look tough. It sets a really strong example of shared support.
Okay, let's dig into this then, because you're right, there's this progression. It starts with these heartfelt requests, and then it shifts to the surprising confidence. So maybe walk us through those first few verses, 1 to 5, the communal blessing part.
Absolutely. Verses 1 to 5, they're really this outpouring of hopeful support from the community. It kicks off with, "The Lord hear thee in the day of trouble, the name of the God of Jacob defend thee." It's specific, not just good luck, but a call for actual divine intervention. They're asking for help from the sanctuary, the holiest place, God's presence and strength out of Zion, Jerusalem, a symbol of divine power.
Right, very specific locations with deep meaning.
Exactly. And they also ask God to remember all thy offerings and accept thy burnt sacrifice. So they're acknowledging the king's faithfulness, his past devotion. Kind of imply, he's earned this hearing.
Okay, so it connects past faithfulness with present need.
Precisely. And then the core desire. Grant thee according to thine own heart, and fulfill all thy counsel. This whole section, it's just this profound wave of support, hope for success, a community rallying and entrusting their leader to God before something major.
That image of a community lifting someone up is really powerful. But then, like you said, verse 6 hits, and something changes. The tone shifts. It's less asking, more declaring what's happening.
Yeah, that shift is really the pivot point. After all those earnest pleas, verse 6 just declares, "Now know I that the Lord saveth his anointed." See? It's not a wish anymore. It's a statement, a confident one.
Now know I. Yeah, that's definite.
Right? And his anointed is the king, the one chosen set apart. The psalmist is expressing total certainty that God will hear him from his holy heaven with the saving strength of his right hand. It's this move from pleading for help to affirming that help is basically guaranteed. It's active. It shows this deep conviction that God will deliver, not just because they ask, but because of who God is and his relationship with the king.
That certainty really sets the stage for the ending, doesn't it? Verses 7 to 9. Which I think for a lot of people, that's the bit they remember most. It really hammers home the core message.
Oh, absolutely. Verses 7 through 9 delivered this really stark contrast and a declaration of trust that just, sticks with you. It starts with that famous line, "Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God."
Right. Military tech versus faith.
Exactly. It sets up this clear choice. Earthly might, the best technology of the day, versus relying on God, on that relationship. And the psalm spells out the consequences. For those trusting in chariots and horses, they are brought down and fallen. Their power fails them.
So earthly power isn't reliable in the end.
That's the message. But for those who trust in God, but we are risen and stand upright. It speaks to resilience, to ultimate victory through faith, not just temporary strength. And it wraps up with one last plea. Save, Lord. Let the King hear us when we call. The main point is just crystal clear. Real victory, lasting stability. It doesn't come from armies or tech alone. It comes from trusting something deeper, something beyond just us. And that's a challenge today too, isn't it?
Definitely. So, okay, let's zoom out from the ancient battlefield. What does this mean for us right now? You listen to this centuries later. What's the wisdom we can pull out?
Right, that's the deep dive, isn't it? Peeling back the layers. First, I think, is this idea that prayer is a source of strength before challenges. The psalm isn't just one person praying. It's a whole community lifting someone up before a huge test. And that's more than just, asking for stuff. It's reaffirming trust, unity, psychologically, that communal support. It builds resilience, cuts anxiety, strengthens bonds. It's about shared reliance, not just going it alone.
I like that. Shared reliance. And it connects to the king's heart, too, doesn't it? You mentioned that earlier. What's the wisdom there?
Yes, good point. That brings up a second piece of wisdom. Success starts with the heart's alignment. When they pray, "Grant thee according to thine own heart," there's this huge underlying assumption that the king's desires are actually in line with God's will. with what's right.
Ah, okay. So it's not just get what you want.
Exactly. It's get what your rightly aligned heart desires. For us, it means true success, the kind that lasts, starts with motives that are pure, purposeful, not just selfish or, destructive. Think about it, a business idea driven only by greed versus one that genuinely wants to solve a problem. Both might make money, maybe, but which one builds real integrity, lasting impact? It pushes us to check our own motives before we start.
Which loops back perfectly to the chariots and horses, because the psalm says true power isn't where we often think it is.
Precisely. The third nugget is simply, true power isn't in might, but in trust. Some trust in chariots. It's a timeless warning. Material power, military strength, cool tech, tons of money. None of that is the final answer. It doesn't mean those things are useless,
Hey.
but the psalm argues faith, conviction, core values. That's what actually lasts.
Yeah.
They outlast weapons, market crashes, empires even. In a world obsessed with, stuff you can measure, Psalm 20 says a foundation built on integrity, on trust in something higher. That's way more resilient,
Yeah.
way more meaningful.
That's really powerful. So, okay, this isn't just ancient history. It feels very relevant. How do we actually bring this into our everyday lives? How does someone listening apply this wisdom
Yeah.
practically?
Let's make it practical. First off, Psalm 20 is a huge encouragement to actively pray for others before their big moments. Think about people you know.
Hmm.
Someone launching a project, facing surgery, starting a tough new job, dealing with conflict. The psalm shows the power of lifting each other up. And it doesn't have to be formal prayer, necessarily. It could be sincere encouragement, showing you believe in them, being that supportive community. In our kind of individualistic world, that collective act is huge for everyone involved.
So it's about showing up for each other, recognizing we still need that support even now. And that connects to where we put our trust day to day, right? What does trusting principles over appearances look like?
Definitely. Second application, trust in principles over appearances.
Yeah.
We absolutely live in a chariots and horses world today. People put their faith in what? The stock market, social media status, getting that viral hit, the newest gadget, thinking that's the key.
Yeah, the modern equivalents.
Right. But Psalm 20 pushes for a deeper trust. Trust in integrity, honesty, ethical choices, compassion. Trust in something bigger than just yourself or the latest trend. Those values, they don't disappear in the next downturn or when the tech becomes obsolete. They're the bedrock for real resilience, real fulfillment.
And it's not just personal trust, but how we view leadership, too. You mentioned the king.
Crucial point, yeah.
Yeah.
Third takeaway, approach leadership with humility and support. Doesn't matter if it's the leader of your family, your company, a community group, even, national leaders. They need accountability, sure,
Yeah.
but they also need genuine support, prayer, encouragement, understanding the weight they carry. What's cool about the psalm is it doesn't just flatter the king, it backs him up. Humbly ask God to help him. It's a great model for supporting leaders, recognizing they're human and need that backing.
That's a perspective shift, not just critique, but also support. And finally, you keep coming back to the heart's desire. There's an internal check needed.
Yeah, absolutely. The fourth application, always check your motives. The prayer asks for the king's heart's desire to be fulfilled, but again, on that key assumption, the desire is righteous, aligned with purpose. That's a challenge for all of us. Before we chase any success, personal goal, job promotion, community project, pause. Ask honestly, are my goals aligned with values that matter? Is this driven by integrity, a wish to contribute, to serve? Or is it just about me, about looking good, getting ahead? That internal check, it can totally change the outcome and the real impact of what we do. So yeah, Psalm 20, it really gives us this blueprint, you could say, for facing struggles with faith, with community, with conviction. It teaches reliance, not just on our own grit or the world's power, but on something deeper, steadier, in a world that shouts about self-reliance, power, getting yours. Psalm 20 offers this really quiet but strong counter message. True power, it often comes from unexpected places, from shared trust in something lasting.
It really does. It's a reminder, isn't it? Pray for each other, support each other, trust principles, not just appearances, support leaders humbly. And yeah, always check those motives, remembering where real strength comes from. It's actually surprisingly disruptive when you think about it today. So maybe for you listening, the next time you face a challenge, or even when you're celebrating a win, just pause and ask, where am I really placing my trust right now? What are my chariots and horses? And am I maybe overlooking something deeper, something more eternal?